National debt climbed to a record 1304 trillion won last year, increasing by over 120 trillion won in just 12 months. For some, the scale is troubling, yet others appear less concerned. Why, despite the sharp rise in debt, do some people remain relatively unconcerned about the situation? The concept and nature of national debt. In the past, an increase in national debt alone was considered dangerous. Recently, however, national debt is not evaluated simply by whether the amount is large or small. The criteria have shifted to also consider how much the economy is growing, the level of interest rates, and whether fiscal conditions are sustainable. National debt is the amount a government must repay to its creditors. It largely comes from selling government bonds or borrowing from banks and foreign entities. Such borrowing is a natural part of financing infrastructure projects, like roads or carrying out government operations. National debt can also serve as a tool for the government to respond during economic downturns. When the economy slows, people spend less and investment decreases. In response, the government expands disaster relief funds or public projects and injects fiscal resources where needed to stabilize the economy. In this process, debt inevitably increases. Therefore, national debt is not merely a liability, but also a result of managing the national economy. Structural causes of rising national debt. National debt increases due to multiple factors working together rather than a single policy. The biggest reason is demographic change. As birth rates decline and the elderly population grows, spending on pensions, healthcare, and welfare continues to rise. Once these expenditures increase, they are difficult to reduce. The problem is that these demographic changes interact with other conditions, creating larger challenges. As the working population shrinks due to aging, tax revenue decreases. If the economy weakens at the same time, the government may spend more or reduce taxes to stimulate growth. In this process, debt increases more rapidly. Interest rates are also an important variable. When interest rates rise, the burden of paying interest on existing debt grows, further worsening fiscal conditions. How should we view national debt? Since national debt increases as a result of multiple interacting forces, judging it by size alone can be misleading. What matters is the framework used to assess it. The first step is to consider whether a country has the capacity to manage its debt effectively. Even if debt is large, it does not necessarily lead to a crisis if the economy is growing and fiscal management is stable. We should also consider how the money is used. If it is invested in improving productivity, debt can become a foundation for growth. From this perspective, national debt is best understood not only in terms of its size, but also by how it was created and where the resources were directed.